What is this? No! No, no!
What? Whoa. Whoa! No, what?
Oh!
There it is.
There it is! That the controller was right! They were right! And see it, they were right! Everything was right!
Remember this? No, I don't mean the Switch or its reveal. If you're watching this, chances are you remember that. No, what I mean is this.
I've got one! Guys!
The hype. That indescribable Nintendo Switch hype. I mean, I do. I was only 8 when the Switch was announced, I'm almost 16 now, but I still remember that sheer hype for the system. In my opinion, it's something that's remained unmatched to this day. No matter how many PS5s or Xbox One Series 360 XSs we get, it will never stack up to the unbelievable amount of excitement that surrounded the Switch. And with the Switch now entering its last year or two as Nintendo's flagship console, I thought it would be nice to take a look back at its truly bizarre and amazing life. The Switch, or as it was better known then, the Nintendo NX, was revealed on October 20th, 2016 after months of rumours and excitement. And let me tell you, this was needed. At the time, Nintendo was in a post-Wii crisis. The successor to the Wii U, was a complete failure, and they needed something to save them fast. And what do you know? This was it. All it took was one video announcing the Switch and people were hooked. Sure, a longer-rated Zelda game was shown, sure, a new 3D Mario was revealed, and sure, even big games like Skyrim were revealed to work on the system. But they almost didn't need to be. The concept may be simple now, but back in 2016, the idea of a hybrid console was pretty foreign. Really, the system itself was the only thing Nintendo needed to show to hook people, but the fact that they went out of their way to show off these longer rated games really was a sign as to what this new generation was gonna be. Finally, Nintendo was giving the fans what they wanted, and what was promising to be a return to form for the company. This would be all but confirmed just a few months later on January 13th, 2017, when we got a whole E3 livestream delving deep into this console's features, and This was a good day to be a Nintendo fan. No more region locking, a price point that wasn't ass, just a bunch of games, and they even acknowledged the GameCube. Oh yeah, and Breath of the Wild was a launch title, but you know, it's whatever. This was amazing, and we only got more leading up to the Switch's release. More game reveals, more trailers, and most importantly, more hype. I honestly cannot describe to you the hype leading up to the Switch. I've never seen as much excitement for a console before and since, and it only got better on March 3rd when it finally released. The launch of the Switch was nothing short of phenomenal. Now some may ask why, when the launch titles consisted of a game no one cares about anymore, a game no one ever cared about, and a game that... Oh wait, no, that one's actually pretty cool. But the Switch's launch wasn't borderline historic because of a huge selection. I mean hell, you could have gotten rid of all the other launch titles as long as the only one left was... This is one of the greatest games of all time. You could, and some very effectively have, argued that it's even the best. It innovated the industry in so many ways, and I would go more in depth, but A, that's not what this video is about, and B, we'd be here for eons. But what made this game even more special was this. I'm playing this on the toilet. One of the most revolutionary games ever. In your pocket, I mean, like, come on. It's been 6 years and I'm still in awe at this. And I'm not the only one. At the time, it seemed like the Switch was inescapable. And I don't mean because it was a new system being constantly advertised, I mean because people were freaking out over the thing. No matter where you looked, people were obsessing over the Switch. People were discussing whether it was worth it, whether it was good or bad, whether Nintendo was saved or not. People were discovering menu secrets, speculating on what games could become portable for the first time, and even tasting game cards for some ungodly reason. And this excitement wouldn't come to an end as the Switch's life continued. Games like Splatoon 2, Super Mario Odyssey, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate kept coming. Suddenly, people cared about Nintendo again. After years of ridicule and irrelevancy, they were finally, after so many years, the big shining example to look up to again. But all of this isn't to say that the Switch was flawless.
Let's play with the buttons. Let's play with the thingies. Oops, I went into the things.
Whoa, did you go like way over?
Is this the wrong side?
Is this?
Do we have the wrong sides?
Oh, we do have the wrong.
This
Okay, so it's very evident.
Oh, mine's stuck now.
Oh, mine's stuck too.
Oh, this is like cemented on now. What the fuck? Uh-oh.
Throughout the Switch's launch and even beyond that, many were experiencing problems with the hardware. Broken screens, broken docks, and most importantly, broken Joy-Cons.
Mistakes were made.
From your Joy-Con
I think I
drift?
Joy-Con drifted.
Joy-Con
Oh my
drifted my way to
God.
victory.
Sick game, dude. Thank you, Nintendo. Love this console.
I still don't believe that.
I'm being dead serious. I hit down.
Joy-Con drift was the term coined for a flurry of broken Joy-Cons that, for lack of better words, began drifting. You could be playing any game and you just get stuck looking in one direction or going in one direction. And while this is bad enough, perhaps what was worse was Nintendo's response to the whole thing. They barely acknowledged the situation, and when they did, it was only because lawsuits were underway. If you want a more in-depth discussion on the subject, I'd recommend checking out this video from Arlo, and if you're even more interested, check out his follow-up. They're real helpful in getting your head around this whole thing. If Nintendo were to keep their reputation from plummeting because of this whole thing, they would need something big. And something big came. But not because of Nintendo.
The World Health Organization has officially called it COVID-19. CO for corona, Vi for virus, D for disease, and 19 because it started
There are
last
now more than
year.
80,000 cases worldwide, and the outbreak is also sparking fears.
Stay at home. That is the order tonight from 4 state governors as the coronavirus pandemic spreads. New York, California, Illinois, and Connecticut all ordering non-essential employees to stay home. Those orders cover 75 million people across the United States.
In early 2020, a world-changing pandemic hit. We were all stuck inside and no one could see each other. It was tough is putting it lightly, and as a result, people were desperate for entertainment, just something to take their minds off of it all. Something that could take them anywhere other than their homes. YouTube, Tiger King, and most importantly for today's case, video games. People were stuck inside with their family and they needed something to release the tension, and what better console to get for the family than the Switch. The thing basically had family fun multiplayer baked into it, and so the amount of people buying this thing skyrocketed throughout the various lockdowns. Kinda funny that out of all the consoles to see success in a time where people can't leave the house, the one that's designed to do as much saw possibly the biggest blow up. But I can't pretend that the family-oriented nature of the Switch was the only reason for its success during lockdown, because a lot of that also sprang from a cute, niche little game about life. It's pretty easy to see why Animal Crossing blew up the way it did. In a time when all people wanted to do was get back to living their normal lives, a game about just that was bound to be successful. And yet again, just like when it launched, the Switch was inescapable. Whether it was because of Animal Crossing, Ring Fit, or Untitled Goose Game, it offered everything people wanted in a wonderful little package. People used the Switch as a way to live their lives as normally as possible at the time, which, now that I'm saying it out loud, is somewhat Orwellian, but hey, it was 2020, what do you expect? And this is around the time that I, at the age of 12, began saving for my very own Switch. I had been in love with the system since its launch. I remember running home from primary school and switching on DanTDM's live streams of Super Mario Odyssey or watching DRG play Bowser's Big Bean Burrito and just dreaming about having my own Switch. Now of course, Switches are expensive and my parents made it clear that they weren't just gonna buy one for me, so when lockdown hit, I saw this as the perfect opportunity to start working for my own Switch. Every day I was hoovering, washing the car, or cleaning the paintwork of the house just so that I could play that little slab. And if I can get real for a second, lockdown hit hard for me. I was always so anxious to go outside, especially in crowded spaces. What didn't help was the fact that due to my autism, I'm already not great in crowds, and when you add the fear of the virus and the whole mask wearing thing to that, the anxiety was tenfold. This time sucked, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but in a way, saving up for that Switch helped me focus on something else, think of something else, which I'll forever be grateful for. And once I had finally earned enough money for it, I had to wait because of pandemic-related shortages. I was devastated, but I had already waited 3 years. I could wait a little while longer. I mean, like, how long would I really have to wait? The first lockdown was now finished, I was back at school, and I still wasn't able to get my Switch. To say I was annoyed is putting it lightly. I had worked so hard, and because of this stupid virus, I had no choice but to wait even more. Until one night I came home, this time from secondary school, to my mum sitting on the sofa and smirking. Beside her was an Argos package shaped suspiciously like a box of some kind, and I immediately knew that somehow she had managed to snipe a Switch. Within seconds I was tearing into that thing, and lo and behold, there it was. my Nintendo Switch. At this point, I had waited for so long that I already had 3 games. Pokemon Sword, a game of which I have a bit of a history with, Super Mario Maker 2, a game I've sunk too many hours into, and most importantly, Super Mario Odyssey. This is my favourite game of all time. I don't think anything will ever beat it out. It's what really got me wanting the Switch in the first place, and I can't overstate the impact it's had on my life. Without this game, I was going to save up for a PS5 instead. This was really the big thing that helped me decide between the 2 systems. Without it, I might have never discovered my love for gaming as a medium or even created this channel. And that first time that I popped in the cartridge and pressed play, I'll never forget it. I set up the Switch in my living room with my mum and my little brother on the sofas next to me and began playing this game. This amazing game that I had been waiting so long to experience. Even today, this game is still impacting me. Most recently, I uploaded my first challenge video where I tried to beat the game only crouching, launching a whole new era for this channel and spawning a lot more of you guys. This game isn't my favourite of all time just because it's good. I mean, like, it is, but still. It's my favourite because of where it's taken me. This game, and the Switch as a whole, however cheesy it may sound, has taken me and the rest of the world on a true odyssey. But the Switch didn't stop after lockdown. It kept going with more people playing, more experiences, and funnily enough, more Switches. The Switch Lite and Switch OLED are 2 other versions of a console that you could pick up. Could being the key word there, because I mean, like, come on. I understand why some people may want or even prefer the Switch Lite, but the OLED? What does it have? A bigger screen with better colour? Yeah, please, I'd rather put my money towards something meaningful, like the 3rd version of The Last of Us, this time with extra good. The point I'm trying to make here is that there's more stuff now, but despite there being more stuff for the Switch, and good stuff at that, it's hard not to acknowledge the fact that something was lost in the process. Something big, something special. That unforgettable Nintendo Switch hype. I think that everyone's noticed that as the years go on, it's getting harder and harder to be excited for new Switch stuff. Don't get me wrong, I'll always have time for Pikmin 4 and Tears of the Kingdom looks great, but this system is 6 years old now. It's getting hard not only to be excited for the Switch, but also not to begin wondering what's next. There comes a time, for better or worse, that you have to move on. You have to find something new, and this thing isn't new anymore. I think it's time we moved on and let it rest. Don't take this as me saying I hate the Switch or think it's bad now. The Switch is my favourite system of all time. I mean, look at me, I'm making a tribute to it, but we can't hold on to that hype forever. I love the Switch, but if Nintendo is going to keep innovating like they did at the beginning of the Switch's life, they're going to need something new that can do just that. Because let's be honest, this thing wasn't the most powerful thing on the planet at launch, and 6 years later, it's not looking any better. But none of this means that the Switch deserves to be booed off the stage or forgotten or go out with a whimper. This is still the system that gave us Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey. This is still the system that saved Nintendo. And this is still the system that got people to care again. But at the end of the day, no matter what happens, no matter what Nintendo does, I can't wait to see what gets us all hyped next.